Hi, it's Roman from Strategic AI Coach. Today is going to be one of those extraordinary days. You're going to look back in your calendar and go, wow, that was a podcast. That was the light bulb moment, the day that things changed. And if you trace back your business life, things that milestones in your life, sometimes it was just you heard that one that just changed everything. Today's going to be one of those days for you. I'm so excited and so privileged to have an old friend of mine, MJ Marsden. This is an extraordinary woman that I've been a big fan of for many, many years, and it's taken me a while to get her on the show today. But MK, just want to welcome you to the Strategic AI Coach.
Roman, thank you so much. And yes, it's the Mutual Fan Society here. So thanks for hosting me today. I can't wait
Awesome.
to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, this is an important one. And I know that for all the executives, for the business leaders, for anyone running a business today, this is going to be a really important conversation. So let's give some people some context, a bit about your career, your background before we get into AI and what we see moving forward. But let's talk a bit about your background so everyone has a good idea of where you've come from.
Yeah, fantastic. So thanks. So like you, I'm originally from Canada, and I started my career up there. I studied computer science and biology back in the 80s. But what's exciting about today, you bring up a really valid point, right? Today is the day we talk about how everything's changed. But it's been 40 years in the making. It's been since the onset of the personal computer that people like you and I and millions of others have been inventing and creating and causing. So I started my career creating databases for personal computers because they didn't exist. Then I got the opportunity to work with a really great company called Novell, and we wanted to connect personal computers. And we became the fastest growing business of its time back then from 1986 to 2004. Right? We went to $1.82 billion in revenue, which was unheard of at that moment, right? And this is when you went public, you did 3/4 of profitability and you had all these structures in place, right? Of which none exist today. So we went public, the stock split 9 times and was all the power of connecting personal computers to each other. Then I got tired of IT and I was like, well, let's see how people use this stuff. So I went into MarTech. It was like, oh, cool. Let's create email. Let's create omni-channel marketing. I created the category transactional email. So order confirm, password reset, shipping confirm as a marketing channel, as a brand. Okay. Then it was like, well, that's interesting, but it's still not delivering on the promise. And the promise is that the tech will do the work. The humans will do the thinking and they'll do what we're doing today. They'll have important conversations. They'll connect on a human level and look at the future and start to design the future. So then I went into omni-channel marketing, combining data with technology to take better care of customers. And what I am so excited about now, Roman, is 42 years later, here we are. We are on the promise of the personal computer, of the internet, of all this technology, where artificial intelligence can augment human capability. And that is where I focus, is on the augmentation. And it can work across all these silos we've created. The worst thing that happened was computer scientists and engineers were put in charge of business operations and sales and marketing.
Right.
Right? Most of us are not very good at it. I just happen to be an extrovert who has a computer science undergrad. But that's not most people. And so we kind of got ourselves in silos and pieces and parts and fragmentations. Now, end to end, we can solve business problems, customer experience problems, sales intelligence problems. And we've never been able to do it before. It's
You're right. This is
complicated, but
yeah.
it's exciting.
And it's a huge transformation for business. So anyone that's been in business for decades or whatever always had this, you had this dream of IT, and you have to go to the tech guys, the coders, this tech group, and they'd go, yeah, we can do that or we can't do that. But there was such a massive disconnect from the ideas, from the people, the innovators, the sales and marketing people. There's such a disconnect from what they wanted to do versus what the tech guys were doing. Huge disconnect. And then, having run a digital agency, for 28 years, even in a small group, forget about the big companies, there's still a disconnect. It's like, no, those are the tech guys. It's a different language. Because if you couldn't code, if you couldn't write software, you are completely disconnected from that.
That's right.
Even when we went to the cloud, even when you did like a Salesforce.com integration or HubSpot or whatever it was, much more user friendly, but still there's this disconnect where, yeah, you could do a lot of stuff yourself as a normal person with Salesforce or HubSpot, but you couldn't create magic. What I think is so profound today is the fact that anyone, any human now can just literally with their voice even talk to these apps like Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity, Grok, and do profound things. And then when you look at some of these vibe coding apps like Bolt or Lovable, just literally with your voice, you can now create amazing apps and websites. This to me is the mind-blowing part, where you don't have to go have a meeting with the web developer or the tech guy or the app. Like, it's like you can literally create the future yourself. And just before we call the call, we were speaking about Perplexity and what they did. It's just a couple days ago, and they took what would take a team of analysts, like think about highly paid, extremely well-educated Wall Street analysts, and they'd have Bloomberg terminals, like each one's 24,000 a year, and to create the kind of analysis that you can get now from Perplexity with a $20 account, you'd spend 50 grand on that. I mean, this is just mind-blowing stuff. So what I love about the time in history, and I really think it's the most exciting time in human history, is it's the people with imagination and creativity are winning now. Because you don't have to be a coder, you don't have to be a business analyst, you didn't have to go to like medical school, you didn't have to do all that. Literally, you've got all the intelligence, in human history, and you are running it. So anyways, as you can tell, I'm a little bit excited. And I want to hear now, so you've seen this 42 years of transformation. You've seen, when was your mind-blowing event? What happened for you for AI? Walk me through last 2.5 years, kind of what's happened to you, and when was that aha moment for you?
Yeah, so each phase kind of gave me an aha that we were getting closer. I want to touch on what you just said, right? I was working out with my trainer this morning. Here's a guy who's, a master's in training and things like nutrition, etc. But he has to be a HubSpot expert to be able to run his business.
Wow.
Right? It's like crazy. We made every business have to be a tech company.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that shifted when you use that Perplexity example, prior to now, everything was written to perform a singular function.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a business owner, a creative, an agency leader can sit there and think and speak out loud, end to end, from mission to vision to purpose to tactics, and using these bots can manifest what they've envisioned. It used to take years and millions of dollars and hard work. For me, when ChatGPT came out, so I've been working in predictive analytics and things like that, and again, like Excel spreadsheets, and just like, oh my God, when are we going to deliver on the promise that productivity is going to go up and it's going to be easy? Like when? Why does my Google Calendar not sync with my Google email, with my Android phone? Like, why
Right.
is everything so siloed?
Right.
When ChatGPT came out and I used it for the first time, I was like, finally, we're finally there. We can work across the whole thought process. We can work across the whole business. I'm not worried about structured versus unstructured data versus all these things. Like, why would anyone know those topics? Now, each day, I'm blown away. I get more excited. I see more possible. I envision small companies being able to compete and produce even better works. I see just a whole unleashing of the economy. I know there's a bunch of people who are worried about jobs and things like that. I just think the human spirit will elevate and take on new challenges, right? Like Adobe gave creatives different options. What did they do? They created more content and more beauty and more options. So I believe the humans will rise above it. I do believe we have to govern it properly and everything else. But I just think right now, a business owner who has an idea can get to market for pennies on the dollar.
Absolutely. So what you said, I think, is really profound. All the applications in the past were written specifically for solving one problem. So let's say you're doing a video, you're creating, a video. Well, unless you were a video editor that probably went to school and really spent their 1,000 hours, mastering whatever software, Final Cut Pro or whatever, software these, that's what it took to create a video. And then today I can speak to Google VO3 and create pretty much a Hollywood looking or Hollywood quality production. I mean, this is insane. So anything that you dream about, anything that you can visualize in your mind, you can literally create now, whether it's an app, a video, a book. I mean, all of this is achievable for any of us. And pennies on the dollar is no joke. I remember we were paying just for hosting. Again, we were a small company. Okay, we were not like the big companies that you've always worked with, but we were paying $30,000 a month for web hosting. And it was like a 3-year contract. We couldn't get out of it. I mean, that was a barrier to entry. Today, the barrier to entry is your Netflix subscription. I mean, people are like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. Really? Like, how about you cancel like your, I don't know, Amazon Video account or cancel your Spotify premium account, and you literally have become the most brilliant human alive. Like, this is the power. So what I'm stunned about, not you tell me your experience, but I'm shocked by my day-to-day conversations with people that are really intelligent, very successful people. You know, we have a lot of mutual friends, a lot of really smart, successful people. When I talk to them about some of these AI tools, say, hey, which one are you using? And they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, sure, they've tried ChatGPT, but they use it like a Google search. Have you had that experience too, where you're just like blown away by the fact that people aren't using and they're just not really experiencing some of the benefits that we're getting?
So I think our history makes it easy for us to be excited, right? We're marketing technologists. We know the language, we know the evolution, we can see it. Imagine that you spent 40 years running a manufacturing plant, selling through distributors to retailers. The language alone of like just the vocabulary you and I share seamlessly with each other, the language alone keeps people out of it. There are also like 10% of us I have creativity FOMO. I don't have like fear of missing out on events or birthday parties or being with people. No, I have fear of missing out on technology, that I'm going to miss something, critical. We're not normal. And so if you're running a big company, let's say you're running a big public company and you've got all of these employees and you got work at home versus that and this and your stock and your shareholders and your activist investors sitting down like we do. I spent 8 hours yesterday exploring different AI agentic frameworks and things like that. Those people don't have time, but we need to express it to them in a way that they can get involved and start to participate, because the future of their business is dependent on this.
You're 100% right. And you're right. I think that we are different, but the technology is so easy to use and it's so profound. So I think for the business people that are thinking, oh, I'm just going to wait till my competitors do it, I don't think they're going to be around. Let me just give you like a little fun case study. Playing tennis with a friend of mine last summer, just my tennis friend. And then October 28th, she sends me this long email, say, hey, I've got this RFP. It's like a 60-page government RFP. Personally, MK, I've never done government contracts. I find them very bureaucratic. I don't like 60-page RFPs. So this is something that I'm just not really, even our agency, if we got like a big complicated RFP, like I forget it. Because it takes hundreds of hours of time. And you take your best people off the ball for and then you might not even win the project because it's probably awarded to somebody else, especially government. But just for fun, she said to me, listen, Roman, you've been ranting about this AI stuff, every time we play tennis. Why don't you play with your AI stuff and see if you can help me with this RFP? The challenge is she's a solopreneur by herself up against Deloitte, Accenture, and one of the other, big firms. And I'm like, okay, this is a challenge. She doesn't have the track record, doesn't have the case studies, and we're going up against those guys. So I took it as a personal challenge. I know nothing about the HR recruitment business, but I did know how to use 3 of my favorite AIs, ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity. And I took the 60-page RFP, and this is a matter of hours. Again, not having any background, played back and forth. A couple hours later, I sent it to her. I said, submit this. She's like, okay. It wasn't until January 15th, but we won it. It was $2.8 million. That's just year one, and it grows. It's amazing. That's when I realized any business, I don't care if you're Accenture, I don't care how big, I don't care how many thousands of employees you are, you're going to lose. You're going to lose against the solopreneur that can create RFPs and can create things that your team can't. So I think this is a huge business.
Yeah. Right. Let's caveat it. She's exceptional at what she does. So she is completely qualified to do the work. Better than a straight out of school. We call them the school on the bus, consulting groups. They show up with 20 of them straight out of school. So she's extremely qualified to deliver on this scope of work.
Yeah, she's paid
She's been,
you're right. She's done 1,000 hours of she's perfected her craft, but
yeah,
yet she didn't have the credibility of a big firm to
or
win
the
a government
access.
contract. Right, or the access. Right, or the access. So,
So now we're leveling the playing field, right? A
right,
really qualified practitioner with 10,000 hours of her trade
right.
can now get access. The buyer can get better capabilities faster and less expensive and on time. That's the part that's so exciting, right?
You're right. The other thing, MK, you've seen this too, but the whole offshoring stuff that we've witnessed for 20 years and finding all these, low labor places, to me, it was just very difficult. And it's, still is very difficult for me to communicate with people in, completely different time zones with poor internet connections that sometimes work, sometimes don't work. It's very difficult. And we had to do that to be to be competitive. But I don't think we have to do that anymore. I mean, I think the biggest risk are going to be all those offshore companies that companies had to move to for lower cost labor. But there's a lot of challenges that the quality of work is never the same. So I think those are really the job losses when we think about it. I think it's the offshoring kind of things. So anyways, I just want to get your thoughts on that.
So for me, what the way that I'm kind of framing it, and with our company, right, we're focused on understanding the buyer behavior for our clients who are the sellers and just showing them, right? Buyers are sending buying signals all day long, but the sellers aren't using them. So for me, where we're focused is we're creating connections between human beings that have been started through all of these digital channels, but where we've had everybody distracted with data versus analytics versus, okay, now we've gotten rid of that. We've got a horizontal layer that can connect human to human. We've now leveled the playing field for the exceptionals and the practitioners, right? If you do crap work and you use AI, you're still just a crap shop, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that just is. You may be able to get access and things like that. But if you do quality work, now you can compete in a place that maybe wasn't doing the same quality work. And so for us, it's really looking at, look, buyers are telling sellers signals all day long. Sellers are too busy doing research and mucking around and Forrester report and this and that to understand what the signals are, where they're coming from, and what they should do about it. So we're just putting that intelligence layer in there. We did a RFP sample for a prospect, like you did. They were like, hey, we're in the middle of an RFP. See what your little agentic framework would come up with. 15 minutes later, we presented it to the account executive. Her first comment was, wow, this would have saved me 20 hours of work over the weekend, so I could have been with my family.
Mm-hmm.
It would have put my whole company on the same page because it had the voice of the customer, not our own theories or work we've done previously. And for that company, presenting an RFP is $45,000 each time.
Right. Which it is
Right?
even for a small business. When you really factor in the level of employees that you've got to use to create, to win an RFP, the amount of hours, even for a small business, it's in the tens of thousands, even for a small business. For a larger company, you're right, and it could be 200,000 for an RFP.
And it doesn't necessarily get the buyer the best work.
No.
Because the buyer's busy in all their silos. And so the user has this specification, IT has this and that. So you got all these silos in the RFP. Then you got all the silos responding to the RFP. And it's like, okay, wait, hang on. Now with these agentic frameworks for us, we're able to say, okay, here's the business problem they're solving for. Here's how it has to serve the 8 to 11 people involved in the buying. Here's what legal's worried about. Here's what IT has to worry about. Here's what the user has to worry about. No human being can manage that in their mind or in the Excel spreadsheet or in Salesforce. It's impossible. It's too much information across too many touch points. And so now all we've done is just said, like, here it is, end to end. Here's the account plan, end to end. Now, intelligent people serve your customer, connect your solution, because now you have all the dots connected. That's
Okay,
what
we're
you did with
talking,
your tennis
yeah,
partner, right? It's like, hey,
and we're talking about things that our employees, our staff can't do. So let me give you an example. We recently had it's like a $20 million business, top home renovation business. and we had to create a proposal for them. So normally you take the human intellect you have on your team and you go, okay, let's do some research, competitive research. And most likely, let's say they're in Toronto, you're going to do some competitive research on, who are they competing with in Toronto, and you're going to create some kind of proposal. Well, when we use AI, here's what happens. The AI goes out and looks at every home renovation company in North America, all of them, finds out the best of the best, and starts analyzing, well, these are the landing pages that are converting the best. These are the ads. They're literally taking, literally thousands of streams of data and putting it into a proposal that would literally take a team, I don't know, weeks, hundreds of hours, if they even could get the information. So I think when people compare AI versus their own team, they're going to lose each time. The team must be using AI or they're going to lose. So for me, to me, this is like a very dramatic thing. It's like if your team is not empowered to be using these AI tools, you're not going to be here in a couple of years. Like this is moving so quickly. So how do you feel about that?
Well, and I would say, why would you not use it? Like, look, when we invented electricity, it changed the world. Okay.
Right.
This is the new version of electricity in business. It's as you said, it can look at the world of information and show you the best of the best. So you can do your best work for your best customers with all the reference points of the world. Why would you not want to play at your highest possible level? Why would you be like, no, 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 I'm going to stay in the dark using candles and an abacus?
Right.
No,
But okay, here's what's amazing. So let's go back to my peer group. One of my good friends, one of the top legal minds in one of the biggest corporations in the country. Again, lawyer, conservative, one of the biggest companies, been there forever. And I said, what are you guys using for AI? He's like, oh, we had a meeting and we're going to be investigating. We're going to be looking into it. I guarantee that they're going to be investigating or thinking about this till 2026. And I know he spends his evenings and weekends like reviewing documents, like things that AI could do for him that would give him the quality of life for his family and for his wife. And I look at this going, okay, I said, with all due respect, on a personal basis, forget about what the company's doing. You need to be using these tools because you're going to become a superhuman. You're literally going to be 10 times better. Who cares what the company, because it's going to take them forever to make a decision. But I think that every single human right now, again, I'm just assuming whether you're a student, you have a small business, you're a corporate executive, you need to be spending whatever the $20 it costs to get these tools and start playing with it because it's going to make you so much better. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you completely. And I think your comment, right, about the quality of his life. Like, why would you stay working 20 hours every single weekend instead of going to your son's ball game or taking your wife to dinner or something like that? Like, it's like a silly
Right.
choice, right? And so that's where I live, is in the human empowerment using technology. Now, I will say, I'm Canadian and I left Canada. I'm part of the brain drain. I do find our country is a little bit stuck in the past. Living down in the States, there's more of an appetite for change. There's more of an appetite for decisioning. There's more of an appetite for winning. And so I think the adoption here, if you look at a lot of the platform companies are coming out of here. So it's a different genesis, but
Correct. And it's actually getting worse.
we're a third world resource economy. Start using technology so we can be a G7 in the world, right? And so it has an impact on people, it has an impact on communities and families, and it has an impact on your country.
It has an impact on everything. I took my son to an appointment today and I said, Carter, when you go to the doctor, how about we ask about, look, what kind of vitamins would be really helpful right now? And he's like, oh, Dad, doctors don't talk about vitamins. I'm like, well, maybe they should. But this is the kind of information that anyone can get on their own now. And you can just take your, blood work, you can take your urine test, you can upload that to ChatGPT and say, look, here's what I'm struggling with. Are there some alternatives to the medications that have side effects? For every single, I have this conversation with my parents. So I think this is really, really important in every aspect of our lives, that people need to embrace this. And recently I just heard about how in the United Emirates, they're giving every citizen's getting like the $20 account for, OpenAI. That's going to do more for their economy. That'll do more for the quality of life than anything they could do. This is
Totally.
why I think I'm so excited because it's such an inexpensive tool that has profound effects on people's lives.
Well, and that's why I love what you're doing, right? Bringing this to CEOs, bringing this to companies in a way that they can understand it, not the jargon of all of these different tools, but like the business benefits, the first step in getting started, like try it personally, lead this change. You know, you and I both stand on use AI for growth. We don't stand on reduce cost. You know, we're not the ops side, we're the growth side. We're use it to grow your business, use it to come up with new products, use it to empower your people. So I love what you're creating because yes, time is of the essence this time. It
And it's
really,
moving
really is.
so fast. Here's the I think what people don't understand is the world in the next 18 months, 24 months, it will be radically different. I mean, this is the year of robots. And these robots have all the intelligence. So imagine all the intelligence of the world going into this robot's mind, and they're getting smarter every day. This is really profound change for everybody. Let's talk about, I'll tell you some of the objections I get from business people. Let's talk about what you found in your implementations that's worked. So
Okay.
what I find is I'll meet with the CEO, say, okay, Roman, I want you to meet, my team. Here's my president or here's my VP team. And there's already a disconnect because now the CEO, which really doesn't know what I'm talking about, is now like already like saying, hey, this team should be doing this. That team is going, yeah, we don't really know anything about it. And they're looking at the CEO and he's not doing anything about it. They're like, no one wants to take that first step. My approach, I want to talk to you how you're doing it. But what I find is if you don't get the CEO, the leader of the business, to not only buy in, but to be using these tools every day, it's not going to work. You can't, this is not like a new software that you're buying for the team and you're going to go, well, Mary's going to run the implementation here. This has to start from the top and the CEO has to be using this, or in my experience, it's not going to work. What have you found with the CEOs that you work with?
So I agree with you. And we started in the same place as you, and then I just got imminently frustrated. So I changed, I pivoted 2 years ago, and I got into don't worry about it. We got it. So I'm using the world of information. I'm using AI agentic frameworks. And what I'm delivering to our teams, and we focused on sales and we focused on showing them how they could make more money. That's something a CEO can relate to and buy into. So that's where we went because I was bumping into the same thing. Now, I'm the Bloomberg terminal of sales intelligence for B2B sales. What do I bump into? IT, compliance. Is my data going to be out in the universe? So I don't use any of their data. Don't touch it.
Interesting.
Deal with the IT department. I don't deal with first party data. I use the public domain data. We license third party intent data and we pay for it. And so we've stayed out of, if there's anything I've learned in the last 42 years, is stay out of IT. Talk to the
Smart.
business people about a business problem and deliver a business outcome. And we don't explain the pieces and parts. It's just too much. So we just, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're going to deliver, and their human performance improves. It was a hard journey. Look, and we're not there yet, right? Like we're still bumping into IT compliance, We still bump into it in all the sales team, but we're getting really, really close. So instead of telling people how to build a car, how to drive a car, and what the highway system is all about, I send an Uber and I get them to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where we've had to go, Roman, to get people to start using it. Now, once they start using it and have the aha, like, oh my God, you just saved me 400 hours on an RFP that I'm not going to win anyways. You just gave me the buying committee for the customer base. We've never known who was involved in the buying committee. The minute they had the aha, then there's that incentive to do and think more. But we found we had to get them feeling the benefit in their world.
No, I love that.
Explaining it.
What you said is so profound. And I think I've learned some of these lessons and I'm learning them again the hard way, but staying away from the IT team because what I find is, let's say you spent years of your life learning, I don't know, Python or whatever you learned.
Right.
And then I come in and I show you, hey, look, we can do this. And what takes you hours, we do in 10 minutes. Like they don't want to hear that.
No.
And everyone's just trying to look, everyone's trying to protect their family and protect their job. So I think going to the IT department, that's the kiss of death. If you're trying to sell AI solutions, it's not going to work. The resistance is incredible because they don't want to hear about, Replit and Cursor, like all these tools that are literally replacing, that's why Microsoft laid off 7,000 people last week. Like, this is why. So I think that's really, really interesting. And I think starting with the CEO, then the second big objection that I get, and you've already addressed it, it's like, oh, we don't want to use our data. We're worried our data is like going to get out there. So you're right. So you've already circumvented that by saying, hey, we're not going to we're not touching your data. We've already got third-party data, which is probably better than theirs, probably way cleaner, organized, way better.
Totally.
Like, if you take a look at anyone's data, you start looking at, because we've done, 10, 15 years of HubSpot integrations, and oh my, the data is just garbage.
It
the
is
data,
garbage, and
it's
it's
garbage.
historical. It doesn't have anything to do with the
No,
buying
and then
decision.
every year, 25% of your database is garbage anyway. So if it's 4 years old, it's completely worthless. So it's funny that people think their data is so valuable, and it's crap. I think so. You've solved that problem. Interesting. So walk me through.
So bring end results, end results instead of trying to get people. I've given up on trying to teach people to understand, and I just bring them insights so they win at their job. So let's look at your CEOs, right? Okay, so what are the insights? Okay, what material market shift should they address in their business? What major change is going on in their ICP that they should be talking to product marketing about, or marketing or sales, right? Like, bring them the business insights from your tool so they can now lead their teams properly towards profitable growth. Don't explain it to them. Don't tell them how you're doing it. Don't confuse them, right? Just like, no one knows how Uber works. No one knows the back end system of Uber, the legislation of Uber. They just know they order a car on their phone, it shows up, and there they are at the airport.
No, that's good. No, it's a very good point. So when we think about the perfect scenario, if you're trying to transform a company from old school traditional to AI first, okay? So let's walk through that. Let's say, and again, I'm just creating a perfect scenario. So you meet a CEO, he knows he needs to move to AI first. Like, they've read enough articles, like they know this, and they have no idea where to start. So they're going, we know we need to do it. No one on the team has come up with any solutions that they're backing. So if you met the CEO, what would you say? What would you say is the perfect first start? What would be the ultimate first step in this process to go from old school traditional legacy business to an AI first business? What would you recommend?
If I can help you make more money with the same headcount on the same products, would you take a look at it? I found after 42 years that if I help them make money, then they'll pay for my services.
Right.
Right. So I don't go cost cutting. It's not interesting to me, anyways. I'm all about growth and change. Right.
Yeah.
But I go, like, give me 90 days. I'll show you how you're going to make more money with your current business. Once you've got them on the step to positive growth, Roman, then change is possible.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I think you're 1,000% right about focusing on the growth. And that's really what AI does. It lets anyone 10x any part of their business. It makes each employee like a superhero. It makes them so much smarter, more productive than they ever could before. So 100%. But I want to get more tactical with you, because when I have these conversations with CEOs, they're like, well, we don't know where to start. Do we start here? They're just confused. So what we've been doing, and again, I don't know if you've done the same thing. We are now suggesting that we take the CEO, the top 4 or 5 people. Like, we don't need 10. We need like 4 or 5 leaders of the company. Let's get off site for a day. Let's go off site. And let's just brainstorm together. Let's just dream together. How could we become an AI first company? And that's really what we find magic in. Then they come out and they're like, oh, and we show them, oh, you can do this. And each one has like this aha moment. They're like, wow, I didn't know we could do that. So I just want to talk a little tactically for your perspective, day one. So if I'm going to, work with your company in day one, what would you recommend? How would we get started?
Yeah. So if I was in your 1-day session, I would have materially relevant use cases to that team. I'm a big use case person. I taught it at the university level. I'm all about show and tell.
Hmm.
That's how you're doing it today. Oh my God, it takes you 6 months and $10 million and it fails 50% of the time. Imagine doing it in one day this way. So I think your use case method that you're using really tailored to them to open their mind to the use of it, not the how,
Right.
the benefit of it. Now, once you have them thinking, I had no idea I could do that. I had no idea that I could tell my salespeople where there's money in existing accounts. Wow, I want to do that. Oh my God, I had no idea that I could tell the marketing department that this segment of the market, this micro segment of the market is growing 100 times faster. And we should focus over there because we've been doing the same thing over and over. We're using AI to change subject lines, but not change the ICP. When you give them those use cases, Roman, then the CEO can start to look at, wow, I can apply it here in my business. I can apply it here. When you try to teach, it takes too long.
Yeah, no, you're right. Let's talk about because again, this is all new for everyone. I mean, listen, we're all becoming experts together. This is a new technology. For the people that don't know the difference between just a regular LLM versus an AI agent, you've referred to agentic quite a few times. Walk people through that. Just explain like, hey, what's like a basic like LLM like ChatGPT versus what is this whole AI agents, this automation? Maybe you can walk people through that because I think it's really important for people to understand.
Yeah, so I was talking to a friend of mine that I worked with in my first job ever, and he was like, "Tell me all about this stuff." I said, "There's this really cool invention. It's called YouTube, and there are young people for free educating us and showing us exactly what to do." So like when I went and studied computer science, I sat in a classroom. Now on a Sunday, I can watch 6 hours of YouTube videos of these genius young people, right? Using these tools. And then I have enough technical depth to apply it to my business, to my client's business. But it's not hard. It's not hard. Like it's really a dance in curiosity. I'm curious about
Yes.
what's feasible. So for me, large language modules are things that we used to write. We've been writing them since the 80s as a way of finding patterns in data and deriving some intelligence from that pattern, right? Then we got into things that they called like predictive analytics. Then we got into, forecasting and things like that. And it was people writing in all the traditional tools, and they were data scientists and they went to Stanford and things like that. Then we came up with, the kind of the first generation generative AI. And that's what sparked my imagination was like, we're there. We're at the consumer touch point. Now, all that underlying technology is something I can apply. So then I went in and started learning all about the individual chat bots. And how did I learn? I subscribed to every one of them. Awesome, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude. I'm in love with Claude. Like he's my new boyfriend and he's my
Yeah.
boyfriend forever, right?
Yeah.
Gemini, and
Yeah.
use them, try them, succeed with them. Play with them, see where they hallucinate, see where they give you the truth, see where, and tell them not to hallucinate. Now you tell them
Right.
not to hallucinate and they stop hallucinating, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. It's all about the prompt. Right.
and then now you've got the ability to have them talk to each other,
Yes. Critique each other.
to teach each other, and you
Yeah.
can train them
Yes.
the same way that you would humans, except that they're going to pick it up first time and they're going to work 24/7 at a rate that our brains just can't compute. But I'm living on YouTube. I'm living with 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds who are, experimenting with this. I'm doing my own experiments. We're constantly activating new apps in our own office and in our own lab and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And it's just for me, it's just like it's the most exciting time, as you said, in life, in personal productivity. Like imagine a world where I work 4 hours a day and I spend the rest of my time learning or talking to you or visiting
And
with
you're
you.
more productive. That's the amazing part.
Totally.
I was having breakfast with my son and his friends, and I said, guys, we're talking about, of course, AI. And I said, you guys got to learn this stuff. We got to have some fun with this. I said, when I had to learn the internet, there were no books because no one had written a book about the internet. So I had a friend, and he knew a little bit about the internet. His office was an hour and a half away. So I'd have to drive to his office every day for an hour and a half just for him to teach me something because there's no books, there's no YouTube, there's no Google. Like, we didn't have this opportunity.
That's right.
Today, you've got the greatest teachers in the world for free, and you can learn this stuff. So it's really not hard. It's fun. Now, it is changing quickly, and that's why we're doing this podcast 3 times a week just to keep up with it. And I know we're short on time today, okay, and I want to invite you back. So I have a million more questions. I want to get deeper into some of the things we've covered, but let's just summarize today. Give us, your framework. What are your thoughts? Again, you're a CEO, you're running a business, whether it's small, medium-sized business, or maybe it's a big business. What advice do you give them today? Because I want them to have something actionable today. What would you recommend the next step for that business leader?
Yeah, so I would say get involved. So if it's attending your one-day session, if that's your better method for learning as a CEO, go do that. If you're comfortable in YouTube, go do that. If you're comfortable as an experiential learner, subscribe to my service, change your sales process. Go learn that. But go learn how this can be applied to your business because you can now grow your company in the way that you only dreamt of before. But I'm with you. Get involved, learn, try safe experiments. There's lots of safe experiments. Do
MK,
one RFP.
you're right. And the RFP is a great one. You have an amazing tool on your website. Can you just have on your website and that tool that people can use because it's incredible and they can go online for free and try it out?
Okay, fantastic. So thanks for letting me have my infomercial. So touchpointstrategies.com. And it really is a customer insights for sales. So they can just input the company that they're interested in selling to, and we will show them what that company is buying and who's involved in buying, why they're buying, what business problem they're solving. And we do it all from their expression, what they've published, and their point of view. So now your salespeople, when they talk to them, can be fully informed and they can better serve them.
It's an amazing tool. I went through the process and it's so valuable. So I really encourage, that's a great next step for everyone. So MK, I definitely want to invite you back. We're going to go deeper into some of these topics. And I really, really appreciate the time and the wisdom that you gave us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for including me, Roman. I love what you're doing. See you
Great
soon.
to see you. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.